What's up, everyone? I'm Dub Jellison, and I'm here with a very special guest today, Bernard Pollard. Bernard, thanks for coming on. It means a lot.
Hey, man, thank you for having me.
For sure. We got to rep that Bully America Nation.
Yes.
So how have you been handling this whole COVID-19 pandemic? Where are you actually? I never asked that.
You know what? I'm in Nashville, and so it's going down. It is what it is, I guess.
How's it kind of impacted you and your family? Like, how have you guys done things differently?
It's D, I've always been a germaphobe. So I think, when you look at everything that's kind of going on, I've always been the one when the kids come in the house, they wash their hands, we wash our hands. I don't allow shoes in my house. I'm kind of that germaphobe, clean freak, neat freak. Anyway, so it doesn't really change anything for us. I think since it really doesn't change as far as in home, but as far as going out, it kind of, wearing the mask and, I'm a shake hands type of dude where I'm a close talker, I'm a hugger. And now all of a sudden it's just that thing where, now we have to, dap elbows or, bump it up or whatever. So it takes some getting used to, but I think at the end of the day, man, I'm hopeful that this thing is, I've talked to a few doctors saying that the strains weren't as strong as they were in January. So I'm hopeful that this thing is freaking dying down so we can get back to normal, our normal life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Hopefully it's dying down. I know there's a lot more cases just because people are out and about. They're kind of sick of being at home, but
yeah,
I don't think obviously I'm not a doctor, but I don't think it's as serious as we anticipated it would be. So I think that everything will be back to normal within a reasonable amount of time. But you also have it's kind of like a training business. Is that the right way to say
it? Yeah, man. So I train a lot of DBs, whether, middle school, grade school, middle school, high school, college, and pro. So I run that. So it's, I do that with B Pollard or BP training and BP 31 training, I should say. And I love training. I love teaching the game, coaching the game the right way. I'm a strict coach. I'm an in your face. I'm a yeller. I'm not a cusser. But I do that, man. It's honestly been a blessing for me because I get opportunity to kind of, just kind of everything that I've gone throughout my career. I'm able to kind of instill that and help build talent and tame talent out there in the world.
Mm-hmm. Did you, like, when you were playing, did you think about doing this after your playing days were over?
You know what? It's crazy. I actually didn't, man. I wanted to be a businessman. I wanted to have my own radio station, and I used to record myself and listen. I'm a gospel. I listen to a lot of gospel music, but I used to record myself and just talk to myself and record it with cassette tapes. A lot of people don't even know what cassette tapes are, man. Y'all so young, but I did that, bro, and that's kind of what I envisioned for myself. But God had another plan for me and my family, and so now I'm doing a training, which, like I said, I love. We're looking at opening up a facility, sports complex here in Nashville. And then I got other business ventures that I'm a part of that I just love kind of get my hands wet, my feet wet to get out there and just learn the business world, because the football world, bro, it is for us. We're kind of closed off. Like, we don't really know the business side of it. So at 20 years old, I was drafted, at 21, to 30, I didn't know the business world. So now all of a sudden, being 35 years old, I'm still out there trying to network because I just didn't know it.
Mm-hmm. It's nice to see that after your playing career, you've kind of found something that you like to do, and you're branching out and trying different things. Maybe one thing will stick better than another, but right. I think a lot of NFL players, young athletes need to hear that, because you're not going to play forever, obviously. And I think you're a great example of trying to find something for after football.
Yeah, definitely, man. That's the biggest thing. I think, when you can find that thing that sticks, you can figure out, put your footprint out there in this world, man. But like I tell a lot of people, man, it's a big piece of pie, bro. We all need to get a piece of that thing.
Sure. So how has your training kind of been impacted by this pandemic? Like, did you have to take a break, or has it been more individual work?
So I do a lot of individual work. So I'm, for me especially, and I tell a lot of parents, I tell a lot of players, when you deal with me, I am a little more expensive. I'm a little more expensive than your normal trainer, just because of my pedigree, my resume. I can teach you things that you don't know. I can see things. I've had job offers to come and run a scouting department for NFL ball clubs. I've had college opportunities to be able to go and to be a DB coach or to be a recruiter and to bring in talent or to just be able to watch film. And I've turned it all down because I've spent that time in my life where I've played football in that short window. And I've missed a lot of time, missing my kids grow up, those younger years for them. And I just want to be able to build my business and just to be able to, just teach and coach from this standpoint of my life. I love that part of it. And I think, it's good. And as I said before, as I was saying at the beginning, it's an investment. So being one-on-one and having group sessions, I really didn't have sessions bigger than 3 to 5 kids. I knew where the kids were. I knew their parents. I knew they weren't traveling. Or if I had a one-on-one, once again, I knew who that kid was. I really didn't take on a lot of new clients simply because, as this thing was kind of at its peak, I didn't want to bring anybody in and then, potentially come back and infect my home. So I had to be, cautious of what I was doing.
Mm-hmm. Do you think you'll ever consider being a college coach or an NFL coach in the future? Like when your kids are a little older?
Man, you know what, D? I don't know, bro. At the college level, I'm going to be honest with you, it's more babysitting. And so, for me, and this is me, I can't speak for everybody else, but I don't want to babysit. I don't want to go into homes for parents and trying to, sweet talk them or, manipulate them into allowing their kid or helping them persuade their kid to come to that university. So I don't want to be on a road recruiting. I don't want to do that, so, and that's what it is. At the college level, I would love to kind of, if they could create a position for me to where I can step in, and I didn't want to be locked down to one university, where I can step in and just say, hey, I can be a talent evaluator and kind of help the coaches and the coordinators, the defensive coordinators, figure out, okay, why is your linebackers, D-line, or DBs, why aren't they firing the right way? And I think it would be the same thing with the NFL level. Just a lot of time away from home, I wouldn't want to miss.
Yeah, I mean, I can respect that. So you talked about college football a little bit. A big story surrounding the whole sports world is if college football will be played, and I'm optimistic. I'm hoping it'll happen, but I also realize that there's a good chance that it won't. We've already seen a lot of big conferences aren't doing non-conference anymore; they're only doing conference games. So, what's your opinion on that? Do you think that college football will be played this fall?
I do. I want to see college football. I want to see pro ball. I want to see high school football. I'm the D coordinator for my son's football team, his middle school team, and it's a 75% chance that we probably will get canceled. I think it sucks. COVID has hit us, and I think it's turned a lot of people's worlds upside down. Whether it's a death or it's business or it's just being sick and losing jobs, whatever it may be. This thing has turned a lot of people's worlds upside down. But I think I'm the same as you. I'm optimistic that we'll get an opportunity to play. Seeing a lot of schools or a lot of conferences go to in-conference play, I think is smart. And, I think, potentially you can schedule it and add more games, the games that you will miss with those out of conference games. I think, that hurts a lot of those smaller teams that are getting paid to get the break speed off of them. That hurts their programs because they're looking forward to that money every year. And I think, by not getting that could be a deal, not a deal breaker, but that could potentially be, their program. Because that's what they're looking to continue to build their facilities or get players in at their respective levels or whatever. But, I want to see it. I really do. I want to see football played. I think they will play. I think it's at a high enough level to where they can try to control it as much as they can. I do think if there is a crazy spread where teams or players are getting, infected with this virus, I think, we can see 2 or 3 games being played, and then they just say, you know what, we're canceling this whole thing.
Mm-hmm. So it's safe to say that you'd probably play if you were
Oh
still
yeah,
playing.
I'm playing, brother. Like, hey, not to downplay anything that has gone on, anybody that have died because of this virus. But my job is to play football. My job I'm an entertainer. That's what I am, right? So my wife knows, I'm gonna be careful. I can be careful as I can, but when it comes down to putting them pads on and I got to go run through a sucker, I'm going to go run through that sucker. And so, that's what I want to play football. And if it's my time to go, if the Lord will take me through coronavirus, so be it. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, that's the decision that I made. And same thing I say with football players. Football players cry about this and that. We made this decision to play this game. We knew it was a hard-hitting game. You knew you were wearing a helmet, shoulder pads, and pads for a reason. That's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely played like that during your career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I am a hard-nosed ball player. I'm a Jack Tatum, Steve Atwater, Ronnie Lott. That's me, Rod Woodson. I'm a dude that I want contact. That's what I do. And so, I made a living doing that. And a lot of people don't get it twisted. I was able to cover ground. I was able to chase people down. I was able to cover people. But when it came to hitting or picking off that ball, I chose hitting.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm a Colts fan, and I always remembered you. And
I'm sorry to hear that.
I mean, I have no room to talk, but the Colts do pretty well against the Titans.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I'm not going to get into that. I'm not like that. So I want to talk about what type of precautions that you think that colleges and at the NFL level that they could put in. I know we're probably not going to have fans at games for a while, but what other things, like when they're actually on the field, do you think that they could try to introduce?
Well, I think, when you look at the college level, I think if it's not 95 to 97% of college football clubs, they're all playing outdoors. So, I mean, I will take on this. I've talked to a couple of old teammates and, analysts with ESPN. Man, put the glass walls at the bottom of the bowl. Put those up. You're going to stop the contact with the players, that direct contact with the players. So I think putting the glass bowls up around the bottom, or putting the glass walls up around the bottom of the bowl. The yelling and the screaming, if we're playing outdoors, we all understand it's going to go up. It's not coming down. So if we can do something like that, eliminate any pre-game fan interaction, no fans on the football field. I think we probably should limit the press. As far as press things, keep them outside. Don't let them inside of the locker room. So that way, I think that this can be a better way to kind of keep as safe as we can, but still we're allowing fans in. Allowing 30,000 fans in a 65, 70,000 fan stadium. I mean, okay. What are you doing? Okay, they're going to be spread out, but at the end of the day, the product is where? The product is on the field. And so if we're outside, I think we have a better chance at everything going up opposed to coming down, eliminating the direct, contact and everything else from fan to player. So it's going to be a little tricky when you talk about dome teams. When you get in the NFL, they got more domes. I think Syracuse still playing a dome, but when you talk about NFL ball clubs, the Vikings, the Saints, the Falcons, and teams like that. Of course, it helps when you got the teams that the retractable roofs. That's a benefit, but it's going to be tricky when you're playing as far as the indoor stadiums.
So would your idea be to keep the stadiums at full capacity, or would you like to limit them?
Why not? I mean, at the end of the day, if your employees are going to come and they want to see football, they want to work. Look, D, this virus ain't going nowhere. I'm sorry. I mean, so if people say this or say that, this is not going anywhere. If people think a vaccine coming in 2 months, they crazy. If they think a vaccine coming in a year, they crazy. So at the end of the day, are we going to hide and continue to stay in? If we're hearing the strains are getting lighter, yes, it is causing some people are with pre-existing injuries or pre-existing problems. it could potentially hurt you or harm you. Stay in, don't go to the game or go to the tailgate, whatever it may be. But when it comes down to if the guys are going to play sports, let the fans come and interact. As far as taking temperatures and everything else, I don't know if that's going to be suitable for for that many people coming into a stadium. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, it ain't going nowhere. So we either gonna hide for the next 2 years, 2 or 3 years, because at the end of the day, when that vaccine come out, bro, I'm not gonna be in line trying to get it. Let somebody else get it. We're gonna see how they respond to it, and then we'll go accordingly.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. But I know how the upper management kind of think about things, and I think it's unlikely that we see full capacity stadiums.
Right, I agree.
But so if, say, like Purdue, for example, we played with no fans at all or very limited fans, so just like the student section and alumni and things like that, how do you think that'll affect the on-field play?
If it affects the on-field play, that you're not playing with motivated players anyways. I said this about basketball players was a couple months back when they were talking about trying to finish off the season with no fans. They were saying they didn't want to play without fans. Well, I get it. I'm a player where I feel like fans deserve the credit. Fans deserve, more. They should get more credit than they've been getting. So, but at the end of the day, are the fans motivate me? No, I block the fans out anyways. So if a player can't play without fans and he needs fans in the stadium or the arena, something's wrong. If you're not motivated to go play this game because you love it, number one, you're still getting a paycheck. But if you don't play this game, because you love it, number one, that's something wrong. If you need to be motivated for a cheer, yes, that is awesome to hear. A cheer, to hear the chants and everything else, that's great to hear. But at the end of the day, it's me against the man across from you. It's not me against the fans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I respect that. I like your attitude about things.
Yeah, man.
It kind of resembles your play on the field. It's all out.
Oh, I got to, man. I mean, this is me in my early years playing career. This is me now in life, man. And I just truly believe, bro, like at the end of the day, if you're a part of that 1%, that less than 1% that plays professional sports, or if you're a part of the college programs and you're able to go and play sports or whatever, program you're a part of in the college, if you can't play because you love this game, something is freaking wrong.
Mm-hmm. So kind of to piggyback off of that, we've seen a lot of recent news about players being paid in college for likeness and their name and all that stuff. I don't know like the inner workings of it. But I wanted to talk about like your opinion on if student athletes should be paid.
You know what, man? Yes. I mean, look, I was a student athlete. I was a true freshman playing at Purdue. I started my freshman year, started my sophomore year, and my junior year. I did things for Purdue, photo shoots, commercials. I was on, billboards. I was in all of it, They had my jersey out. I mean, Purdue made money on that. Mm-hmm. Purdue made money on our victories, and so I think if you give a player an opportunity to be able to make money on his or her likeness, I think that's fair because the school is making money on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and for a lot of people that's saying that you're getting a free education. Well, yes, they're getting a free education because you don't know how much money they're about to bring into this doggone university. So I get being frustrated with it. Well, at the end of the day, if you want to be a part of that 1%, go work your butt off. Go join the sport and work your tail off to try to figure out how you can get a piece of that pie. And so I believe I think that the hardest part is figuring out, because if you let a player make money on his or her likeness, that just opens up the door for, signings at whether it's bookstores or jersey stores or university stores or whatever it may be. They can make, they can do that. I think when you come down to paying players straight out of the university's pocket, now you got to figure out, okay, where is the bulk of the money coming from? And then how do we figure out who gets what? What's the standard or what's the ceiling? Is there a ceiling? Is everybody on the same level? Now you got to say, okay, well, all these different sports, will, and not to downplay any sport, but will golf get as much as football players? Will golf players get as much as football players? Well, will baseball get as much? Well, we all understand that softball players really don't get scholarships. So are we going to pay them because they're paying for their school? And then, so it's a lot to think about for the university. And I get the craziness, but at the end of the day, for a lot of these universities, it's bringing in a lot of money. But I think by doing that, there are going to be a lot of smaller universities that go under because they can't fork out the bill.
Yeah, for sure. That's what, I mean, I agree with you. I think that a lot of kids should be able to make it off like a big topic is the video game, like the NCAA games. They should be able to put their name in there and then make money off of that. Or if, say, like like at Purdue, there's a bunch of Jimmy Johns. They can go do a commercial for Jimmy John's and get paid $5,000 or whatever the price is. But I agree with you that like Purdue paying their athletes wouldn't be smart because then it would just screw everything up. But I wanted to talk about kind of your experiences at Purdue. How do you look back on it, and then kind of tying in being paid or athletes potentially being paid? What are some of like the stresses or hardships that you went through at Purdue?
Man, I'll be honest with you. I had a great time. Yeah, we had bills as far as, moving off campus. And Coach Tiller did a great job. Our freshman year, we stayed at, all the football players were in Wiley Hall. Sophomore year, we were all at Hilltop. Is Hilltop still even there?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so we still got Hilltop. And then in our junior year, we can live off campus. And so I forget where I live. Me and Stanford had a house together, but, throughout the summers, we had to stay for summer school, and so we had to, stay in a house or sign a contract for a certain amount of months to be able to do that. And so we had to come up with the money because for certain guys, we didn't get Pell Grants or things of that nature. So for a lot of guys that didn't qualify, if our parents made enough money, then we didn't get it. So either our parents had to pay or, we had to find a way to get a job because I think in summer school, we can only take, I think it was 6 credit hours, I believe it was. So we took a couple classes, if that, but my time was good. Had a couple bills here and there. I think the biggest part, as you've seen at Purdue, where a lot of people just want to have their cars. So, for a lot of football players, some guys didn't have cars. We either got in a car with another player that had a car, or, everybody was just kind of, walking around our own bikes together. But I think you can kind of fix that. I think the universities can fix that if you create a transportation system for your athletes. If it's at every school, and I think some schools have it, but a transportation system for every one of your athletes, I think that would kind of knock off that everybody wanting to get money to get a car right now. You know what I mean? And for all the other stuff, I think, with the weekend stuff, I think we're so far advanced as far as Uber and everything else. People can get Ubers, but at the end of the day, you're going to need money for Ubers. So where does all that come from? I think, going back to players being able to make money off their likeness. I think if you switch that and just pass a law where you can just get money off your likeness, no universities are paying anything. So I think that's where they're stuck. Are universities going to pay, or are we going to get it off our likeness, or are we going to have both? Because you're going to have some players that's getting a big chunk of money and then other players that are not. And it's going to be like, okay, well, how do we do it? And now if you do that, how are these rosters going to change? We had 101 players, 102 players at Purdue. Do you stay at that 101, 102 man roster, or do you drop down to like 70, 65, 70 man roster because of the money you forking out? So it's a big pip. I don't see them selling this thing or figuring this thing out for a long time. But when it is, I think it's going to benefit the players. And of course, NCAA going to figure out how, they're going to take a bigger piece of pie anyways.
Mm-hmm. Another thing that kind of baffles me, honestly, is I know how much classwork I have, and I'm not playing a Division I sport. Right. So how did you learn to balance all that?
You know what? Once again, man, Coach Tiller did an awesome job. He did an awesome job with, we went to class. Obviously, we had Coach Hagan was our class checker. So he would make sure, for his class that he brought in, he would always check, or he'll have somebody checking in. Miss Lynn, it was awesome. Miss Lynn that's my homie. just her presence. She was my mom, and still to this day, she's like a mother to me. She made sure she was a tutor, and she just made sure I knew and understood what was being taught in the classroom. So, me taking notes, I'm a note taker, bro. And I got pad right here. I always just sit and just take notes on everything because that's just the way I learned. I had to hear it. I had to write it down so that it stayed. So, for a lot of players, we did a really good job. I think we had one guy academically and eligible and then fell out. But other than that, we brought in 15, 16 dudes my freshman year, and all of us, I stayed 3 years and everybody else stayed the rest. But or Ray Everett and I stayed for 3 years. And then, but other than that, man, he did a great job as far as making sure we understood. We had our study halls. We knew what we were doing in the classroom, but at the same time, when it came down to football and prepping for games and practice and things of that nature, he had us well prepared for both sides because he knew it was a burden for us. We also, one thing I love about Coach Tiller, he did not allow any guys on scholarship to be engineers. We might have had one. John Lambert was the engineer. And I think John figured out, whoa, this is a load, you know what I mean? Playing football and then, being an engineer. So I think he ended up switching his major. But Bill Foran was a freaking brilliant. He was a perfect ACT. And then he was just smart as all get out. But, he owns his own construction business out there in Texas. But yeah, man, it was awesome.
Yeah. So you kind of mentioned it a little bit before, but you're talking about the late Joe Tiller. What kind of person and coach was he for you and your teammates, and how did he kind of help shape the man that you've become today?
Man, so D is if you know anything about me and if you know anything about our relationship, Coach Tiller and our relationship when I left, it was rocky, bro. Our relationship going into my junior season, it was rocky. We didn't really we had a falling out in camp, and but my freshman year, my sophomore year, literally, and still, as I told him before he passed, I appreciate him. He was one of the first white men to tell me he loved me, to hug me, to embrace me, to be there for me. It was, coming in my freshman year, man, Coach Tiller took me in at literally like his son. When I came in, guys were not able to go in his office. And I mean, just the type of person that I am, type of player that I am, when I felt that connection between him and I felt the love. I treated him like he was my dad, and I would go in his office and his secretary, and all the other players, the older players, student him, all look like, what you doing? He's like, you'll get in trouble. And coach would sit there and just talk to me and grill me and just make sure I was okay, checking my mental to figure out, was I there? And so, that was awesome. And it was a shame, for everything that happened the way it did into my junior year. And I take blame for that because I could have handled the situation differently. Man, we had a steak and beans scrimmage, and I smacked Brandon Jones. He did not get the first down. Coach Tiller said he got the first down, and he didn't. And, for players, man, there's an attitude you got to play with. And there's a frustration. There's, that and it's hard to turn that switch off during practice. And I should have turned the switch off, and I didn't. And him and I got to arguing, and I told him to give me my transfer papers. I was literally going to transfer from Purdue and sit out a year and then play the next year. But he banned me from the media for 8 or 9 weeks, I believe it was, my junior year. And him and I did not talk from that point after what happened in practice when I walked all the way from the practice fields all the way back to Mollenkoff. Him and I didn't talk. We didn't communicate. When I left, when I declared as a junior after our last game against IU, I told him I didn't tell him I left and went to Florida to start training for the combine. And him and Morgan Burke sent me a letter and said if I ever came back to Purdue, they would have me arrested for trespassing. And so I didn't even do my pro day at Purdue. I never came back to Purdue. And so that hurt me a lot when that happened because our relationship just fell apart. And but I got a chance to talk to him. And I mean, his wife, man, she knew she would bring me cookies every freaking Friday and or Thursday. And she knew it was bad, and she would always reach out to me. And Bernard, are you okay? Bernard, y'all need to fix this relationship. And my pride, his pride we wouldn't do it. And so, now, before he passed, we got an opportunity to talk. And Arnetta and I, we communicated, and we communicate still. And it's just, I'm glad that we got a chance to kind of, get some closure there. But yeah, it was a shame the way it all happened, man. But that's my dad. That's my white dad. So yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, you played before. What years did you play at Purdue?
So I was 03 to 05.
Okay, so I was 3 years old and then 5.
Yeah.
When all that happened. So I don't really remember a whole lot. I just remember I liked Purdue, but I probably didn't hear about that. So they really banned you from Purdue?
Yeah, I was banned. They told me if I came back, I would be arrested. So literally everybody, so Ray Edwards, me and him came in our freshman class. Ray declared, I declared, and Ray did his pro day at Purdue. I did my pro day in Lafayette at Lafayette Jeff High School in 13-degree weather. It was crazy, man. Yeah, man. It was crazy. It was cold. We had 16 teams show up, and I was just angry the entire time. So some of my teammates came, they watched it, but it was just so cold, bro. So it was nuts.
So when's the last time you were at Purdue?
So it's with everything that went on, it was hard for me to come back. They asked me, Chris Compton was actually a part of the recruiting process. I ended up seeing Morgan Burke at the airport in Indianapolis, his wife. So I was trying to make it past, and I'm big and, big black guy going by, and I'm the only black guy I think it was in that section of the airport. And his wife called my name, and Morgan turned around and was like, "Hey, you need to come back." He was like, "You need to come back so we can see your face." And I just told him, I was just like, "Man, I'm not ready." And so I think, for me, I think it was 2000. I don't even remember what year it was. It's probably 6 years ago, 7 years ago. I tried to come back. I came, I drove on campus. I went to University Hotel. I checked in. I was there. I was going to go to the spring game. I could not do it. I got back in my car and drove away. And it was just because the hurt was still there on everything that happened. And of course, Coach Tiller was in Wyoming. He wasn't there. And but they had a new coach, and I forget the black guy name. I forget his name, but had him, and then Morgan Burke obviously was still there. I just could not make myself do it. And so a lot of my old teammates was like, "Yo, Bernard, where you at?" But so Purdue played Auburn, that's the game that we all need to forget, here in Nashville in the Music City Bowl. I went to the tailgate and got a chance to see a lot of my old teammates. And we had a blast, man, here in Nashville. But it was one of those things, bro, where it was just difficult. It was difficult for me to do.
Do you think you'll ever come back? Probably not.
I don't know. I know Coach Tiller and I fixed it, but that's hard to tell somebody to move on, and because 3 good years of my life, I blood, sweat, and tears at that university. I played my butt off for that school. I represented Purdue well. I really did, and I've never been in trouble. I've never been in handcuffs. I've never been close to it. I was not a partier. I didn't go to bars. I was a good student. And I was a hell of a football player. And I just thought for Morgan Burke and for Coach Tiller to have did that, I forgive. And once again, like I said, I was not an angel. I could have handled it differently. I do need to come back. The head coach have reached out. Some new people in the program have reached out to me. So I'm trying to make myself come, man. But we'll see.
Well, you gotta let me know when you do, so we can meet up. We'll be happy to have you back for sure. Yeah. So I wanted to transition to your pro career. You played 9 seasons in the NFL. Your last season was 2014, I believe.
Yes, sir.
2014. So how do you think growing at Purdue helped you in the NFL, and then also, your upbringing?
You know what? It was awesome, man, because, I got an opportunity, playing under Coach Spack and Coach Anarumo, Phil Amation, my freshman year, who was my DB coach, and then Coach Anarumo coming in my sophomore and junior year. I just literally talked to Coach Anarumo like 2 hours ago, and him and I talk to this day. Coach Hagan is obviously at IU. But, playing under Coach Spack, man, I was able to learn. And as a freshman, playing with Nico Kudavides, playing with playing with Stu and playing with Gilbert and Landon Johnson and John and all these dudes, man, I was like, oh, snaps. I was able to learn from these dudes. I was able to understand the game and be taught the game. Being with Stu, man, we were watching film as a freshman. I just turned 18. We're literally in the film room and just grinding it out, making calls and figuring out how we're going to do this or do that. And that team, my freshman year in 03, bro, we were a hell of a football team. We were really freaking good. And if Orton would not have that was my sophomore year. If he wouldn't have fumbled them freaking footballs, losing to Wisconsin, oh my, bro, you taking me back, bro. But just that right there, being in that atmosphere with those dudes and being taught by Coach Spack was just freaking awesome, dude. It was awesome to help me because when I got to the league, I was able to understand the defense. It didn't matter to me what they put in. I understood how to study. I understood how to take notes. Once again, taking notes. I knew how to do all of that. So for me, bro, it was an easy transition. I didn't struggle at all. Like I said, I was never a partier. I think Coach Hagan, we had to sit down. Coach Tiller and I had to sit down when I first got there. And I mean, I've never been a drinker. I didn't taste liquor until I was, I think, 22. Didn't ever smoke. So, I mean, that was never anything that I did. So that made it easier with the transition. I was able, I didn't have to use alcohol or smoking to cope with anything. I just dealt with all of my situations and figuring out I had to work through the adversity. So that's what I was taught at Purdue, man. And it helped me in the league.
Mm-hmm. So over the course of your career, you got to play in a Super Bowl and you ended up winning that Super Bowl with the Ravens in 2012. Is it safe to say that that's kind of the pinnacle of your career right there?
You know what, D? Playing in the Super Bowl, bro, I'll be honest with you. I've never, ever thought that I would be a Super Bowl champion. To be perfectly honest with you, football wasn't the sport that I even wanted to play. I played football because I was good at it and I didn't have to be home. My father and I fought every Friday night after a football game. So I didn't want to be home. I didn't want, so being at practice, staying after school, I just played because I was good at it. And I knew right around my sophomore year of high school, I knew I would be able to go further and play. So I was just like, okay, well, I guess, I'll just play football. And if they offer me scholarships, so scholarships started coming in right around my sophomore year, junior year, and I was just getting better and better and better. And, I just made a decision to stay in Indiana. I knew because I said, okay, well, I play. So if I'm gonna play, I might as well go to the top level. So I don't know if you guys did it, but in 8th grade, we had to write time capsules. And I was that good of a player where I wrote a time capsule in the 8th grade and we had to bury it. And then so after you graduate, you go back and get the time capsule, you dig up the time capsule or whatever. So our group, some kids from my middle school that we went to high school together, they dug up my time capsule. And I said in 8th grade, I'm going to be at Florida State University for 3 years. And then I'm going to play quarterback, be drafted in the first round. Well, I ended up going to Purdue playing safety for 3 years and was drafted in the second round. So it's just one of those things, man, where, football just was there. I didn't ever think I would be able to be the best or, be one of the best to get a Super Bowl ring. But it was truly a blessing, man, and truly a great accomplishment in my career. But it's just I look back at it and I'm just looking like, there's been so many football players that have played in the National Football League that did not let alone win. They didn't make it to a Super Bowl game. Some of them haven't even ever seen a playoff game at that. So, for me, I'm like, man, this is truly a blessing.
Mm-hmm. What do you think made that team so good? Because, you guys were dominant through the playoffs. I think you knocked us out, the Colts, in the wild card round. What do you think? Trying to think of how to say it. Do you think it was more the players, or I know you kind of had a couple issues with Coach Harbaugh, but do you think Do you think the culture of that, especially with the defense, do you think that culture kind of led you guys to that Super Bowl win?
So I tell a lot of people, they built that in 1996, and they started in 96, but 97, culture started to come around for the Baltimore Ravens. Ray Lewis was a part of it, phenomenal teammate, phenomenal player. We were a no bullcrap club. We took bullcrap from anybody, and so we had each other's back. In 2011, we ended up losing to the Patriots, but I remember when we went into the locker room, guys were pissed off, missed the field goal, dropped the pass end zone, ended up losing at whatever, I forget the score, losing at like 4 or whatever it was, 3, lost by 3 to the Patriots. We said, we're going to be back here and we're going to beat the piss out of them next year. And, we just had that mindset. And I think, when I look back at that team, I was the final piece that they needed because they were a dominant team before me. The Baltimore Ravens have been a defensive ball club. They've been a dominant ball club, and they were just physical. But now, me to bring me in to be that piece where I communicated, and Ed and I, we didn't miss a beat. I was able to help him help me. I was able to be that piece to kind of plug in on the defensive side of the ball that kind of got us over the hump to finally make a splash in the playoffs and go to the Super Bowl. Man, it was that was freaking awesome. And I think a lot of guys are, we still talk about it to this day. We're still pissed off that Harbaugh blew that team up because we all believe we could have won 2 to 3 more Super Bowls if he didn't get that team together.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I certainly believe you. You guys were loaded that year. I think you guys would have been perennial contenders for years to come too. You kind of mentioned Ray Lewis. I want to talk about the type of leader he is. Like if you go look at his Instagram page, for example, it makes you want to run through a wall. So what kind of teammate was he, and how did that kind of rub off on you?
Ray was a good teammate, man. He was a good dude. Man, I can't say enough about him. But as I tell a lot of people, Ray was the cornerstone. He was the pillar for the Baltimore Ravens. I don't want us to lose sight of that, right? Every other man was just like that. And I'm being perfectly honest with you. Ray set the tone. He set the tone. But you had Corey Redding. You had Haloti Ngata. You had Terrell Suggs. You had Dominique Foxworth. You had Ed Reed. You had Kerry Williams, Corey Graham, Webby. Dude, like it was Marshall Yonda, Joe Flacco, you know what I mean? Like Anquan Bolden. Those dudes, they deserved as much credit for the success that was going on with the Baltimore Ravens. And not to take anything away from Ray. Ray was a special player. But at the end of the day, I tell people all the time, we can't discredit the rest of that football team because that was a heck of a football team. And even for Harbaugh, you put any head coach in that position, he was winning the Super Bowl with our football team. And I'm being honest with you. And that's not shade. That's not hating. I'm just telling you, we were that freaking good.
Mm-hmm. I mean, respect. I think you guys were too. So before I leave you, I know we're running out of time. We've kind of come into a time period in our country where there's still racial injustice, and there's kind of been more of a movement to try to fix that and try to make things better in our society today. What have been your feelings throughout the last month or so since the murder of George Floyd and the subsequent protests and all the things that have happened since then?
So D, it's crazy, man. And as I tell a lot of fans, as I tell a lot of people, I'm not one of them people that I jump out my seat when the first thing I hear is somebody scream racism. I'm not jumping. You know what I mean? I need to hear the situation out because a lot of times people react without knowing important details of what truly happened. Now, obviously, I've been a black man for 35 years. I have been I've been racially profiled. I've been stopped by the police. I have had people scared of me. I've had people said I've done things that I didn't do just off of the color of my skin. I've been followed in stores. Um, I've been that. That's happened to me. So for people to think that those are lies, to think that that's not happening, is crazy. To think that systematic racism isn't happening. I was just one of them dudes that made it out. I was one of them dudes where I was able to, I was blessed to be able to come up out of our situation and to make something of myself. Let me be honest with you. So being in the National Football League, bro, I was good for a lot of dads, a lot of moms, a lot of kids. But when I hit the real world, they didn't want nothing to do with me. Why? Because I can't entertain them how I did on Sunday, Thursday, Monday, Saturday. I couldn't entertain them. I'm not entertaining them. So it doesn't matter how much money I got. It doesn't matter if my money matches Joe Blow money. You know what I mean? They want Joe Blow. And it's been told they don't want a black person in this role. And so that's fine. So to say that those things aren't happening is crazy. To see the murdering from police officers to police officers killing people of color, it's hard. It's hard for me to see. And look, I got a whole bunch of police officers, of friends that are police officers, white men that are my friends that are police officers that I support all law enforcement if you're doing it the right way. I understand it. I get it. But I want people to understand too that there are crazy things that are happening. I don't care what, as far as George Floyd, if he's arguing or whatever it may be, for him his knee to be on that man's neck and he's saying, I can't breathe. Obviously, like, bro, like, you got pull your knee off his neck. If someone's saying I can't breathe, if you and I are playing and you go, B, I can't breathe, I need to let up. Why? Not because whatever. I just off of you telling me I can't breathe, I gotta believe you whether or not you're lying. You know what I'm saying? So, just seeing these things happen in our world, we've got to see policies change. We've got to see laws change because I just had an interview a couple weeks ago, and I said, in order to make change, we have to be allowed in the house. And it's a shame that I have to say we have to be allowed in the house when there are people of color who deserve and are qualified for certain positions, but aren't given those opportunities simply by the color of their skin. And so, once again, man, I think, there's some positive things happening right now. I do not agree with the violent protesting, tearing things up. You ain't doing nothing. If anything, that's a distraction. You're distracting on that's a distraction on what the purpose is. So I do believe silent protest, we need to say something. I'm not against players that are kneeling at games. I don't think that they're kneeling against the flag. Would I kneel against the flag? No. Or would I kneel at games? I'm sorry. No, I wouldn't kneel at games. What would I do? I would communicate. The best thing that we have is to be able to articulate what's going on. So before games or after a game is over and they put a microphone in front of my face, hey, let me tell you about what's going on in my hood. Let me tell you about what's going on in the world before I answer any questions about football. I think that will benefit players more than, that's just the way I would do it. And I can't, like I said, I'm not coming down on, them kneeling, protesting, silent protests. I'm not coming down on it because, like I said, there is an issue. There's racism out here. I just put a tweet out the other day. Somebody didn't like it. Said I was the Jesse Smollett, or whatever his name is, and then a Bubba Wallace. They call me all kind of names. That's fine. I don't need to, answer that. I'm not going to give you the attention, but we have to understand that there is racism going on. But I love what I'm seeing people and hearing people speak up for a voice that's not being heard. That's been so awesome to me to be able to see and hear what's going on right now in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm hoping that we're going in the right direction with all this. It breaks my heart. My dad's also a police officer, so it's just like a really confusing time for me because I support the police, but then I see them do. It's not all the police, obviously. I think it's a very small number, but I mean, I don't know. It's just like the hate from both sides kind of gets at me. But we're about out of time, so I'm gonna let you go. thank you for being so candid, so energetic for this interview. It really means a lot. And hopefully next time you come to Purdue, whenever that is, I'll be there and I can meet you in person.
Hey, man, appreciate you having me. I had a great time, bro.
Yep, for sure. Bernard Pollard, everybody.
Peace.